LauraGYOGA, and today we're going to be working on yoga therapy for our wrists. And the pattern that we're going to follow is we'll do some stretching for the wrists, open up the muscles in the hands and the forearms, and then we're going to do some decompression to create space in the wrist joint itself. And then we're going to do a little bit of strengthening to make sure that the muscles in the hand and the forearm and the wrist have the strength to do the things that we're asking it to do on a daily basis in our yoga practice. So we'll start out just with a really basic stretch that we need to do every day, especially before we do our practice. Take your right hand out, fingers down toward the floor, straighten your elbow but drop your shoulder. Make sure that you're not doing one of these. And just take a hold of the back of the hand and the back of the fingers. Draw them down toward the floor or maybe even back toward you. Feel that stretch up into your forearm. It's a really important place. This is where we get tennis elbow. Flip your palm over, palm away from you, draw the hand back, draw the fingers back. And this is one that you really should do a couple times throughout the day, not just right before you do your yoga practice, even though that's good, but throughout the day try to break up some of that tension in your wrist. You can just flip back and forth a few times. So now with the palm away from you, you're just going to do a very gentle pull on the tip of each finger. And this just makes sure that the tendon that goes down each finger is gliding smoothly, and the muscle attached to the end of that tendon is not holding any tension. Okay, and we're going to bend our elbow, bring the hand back like you're holding a serving tray. Bend your fingers back like that, like you're trying to touch your fingers toward your shoulder. Open the hand away from you, grab the thumb, and do a little rotation away like that. And just pulling the thumb down gently. Nothing too aggressive or strenuous when you're dealing with the fingers. And release that, shake them out. And we'll do the same thing on the other hand. Left hand out, grab the back of the hand and stretch it down toward you. Let the shoulder relax, make sure you're not tensing. And there's a difference if you do this with the elbow bent than if you do it with the elbow straight. I like to do the elbow straight because you get a better focus in those forearm muscles that tend to be a problem. Flip the hand over, push out, open through the underside of the wrist. And this is where we get problems with carpal tunnel, right through this passageway here. After you take a few breaths like that, you'll do a gentle pull back on each of the fingertips. And then you can take the thumb and do that rotation. Pull on the fingers. We'll take the hand up like you're holding that serving tray. Take your fingers and draw them down as if you could touch your wrist or your shoulder, or maybe you can. Release and shake them out. So now we're going to take the hands straight out. And the elbows are straight for this one. Relax your shoulders down. We're going to roll the hands back, open through the fingers, come back into center and make a fist. Open back, spread the fingers, roll into the middle and make a fist. As the fingers go back, try to spread them out as wide as you can. Create space in between every finger. Curl as far as you can. You feel a good stretch down the back of the forearm. Shake them out. Take the palms of the hands together into prayer and then flip that prayer upside down. Fingers down toward the floor. Draw up through the heels of the hands, but watch that the shoulders haven't started to creep up. Make sure that the shoulders stay down and the neck stays long. Start to get any numbness or tingling, which you might if you have symptoms of carpal tunnel, give yourself a break. Don't stay in this stretch if you do get any numbness, tingling, sharp pain, anything like that. Rotate the fingers up. Do a little bend from side to side with the fingers. Glide those tendons. Okay, and then shake them out. So that was a little bit of stretching for the hands and the wrists. And those very important muscles up in the forearm. So now we'll do our decompression. You're going to take one thumb up and one thumb down. Hold like you're shaking hands, and then pull out to the sides. You'll feel this, it's a good strengthening move for your upper back because you have to use your muscles to create that pull out. But what it's doing is creating space in your wrist joint. Okay, release that, flip the hands the other way, clasp them together, and then pull out toward the sides. Okay, release that. Now we're going to take my right hand up. I'm going to wrap my left hand around my wrist, right at that dent below the hand, and I'm going to squeeze. Now, relax your hand and squeeze. It's almost like you're trying to separate your hand from the rest of your forearm. That's another way of decompressing your wrist, of creating space in between those little carpal bones, your wrist bones. We'll switch over to the other side. Grab right underneath the hand and squeeze to create space. Now the next one is a little bit tricky. It's going to be a decompression and a bit of massage for your forearm. I'm going to take my left forearm down onto the mat, and I'm using my right hand to stabilize me. Take the opposite knee, and you're just going to press it down into your forearm. And it's up to you how much pressure you're giving it, but you'll feel your fingers start to curl, and that's a good thing. That means that you're putting pressure on the tendons and on the muscle that close your fingers, so that's actually doing that by itself. But you'll feel some of that tension in the forearm as you do that. And these are the muscles that get really tight because we do so much gripping with our hands. Okay, release that one, and then switch other forearm down on the mat. Take your knee over. If you don't quite have the flexibility to get your knee over onto your forearm, then you can use a tennis ball, and you would just press the tennis ball into your arm in a similar fashion. And make sure that you're not putting so much pressure down with your knee that it's painful. It just should be a comfortable amount of compression. Okay, good. So that was the decompression part. Now we'll do a little bit of strengthening. The important thing to note here is that any time that we have the hands on the mat and we're doing our hasta bandha, our active hand lock into the mat with the fingers curled just slightly, pads of the fingers giving pressure into the mat, the center of the hand suction up off the mat, your hand is really active, and that's going to help to strengthen all the muscles in your hand and the muscles that go up into your forearm. So that's what you're doing any pose where your hands are down on the mat. But we can add a little bit more strengthening to that by lifting the palm of the hand up and lowering it down very slowly with control. Press and lower. And you can do quite a few of these until you feel a little bit of fatigue in the muscles down along the underside of your forearm. And the other way that I like to strengthen the hands is to come up into a tented position with the fingers. And I'll do this in child's pose sometimes, just lifting up onto the fingertips, stretching the arms out. We're working the muscles in the hand to create this dome shape, and especially trying to pull the center of the palm away, working on the arches of the hand. And we know anything that's arched creates more strength. So we want to emphasize those arches in the hand and make sure that your finger joints are all bent, that they create this nice domed shape. Don't let them straighten and hyperextend like that, because that's putting stress on the actual joint itself, and it's going to eventually overstretch the ligaments in the fingers, and we don't want any more stress in those little finger joints. So keep a nice rounded shape, lift the arch of the palm of the hand. And then relax your hands down. And we'll come back up into sitting. Give your hands a little shake. So that was our yoga therapy session for the hands and the wrists. If you enjoyed, thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.